Hey Airsofters, this is Perry from Bravo Tactics. We're going to be teaching you today how to put a high silicone wire from Classic Army. We're going to put it in M4. It's front wired. First we're going to do is take the pistol grip off and take our Phillips number 2. Undo the screws. There's going to be 2 screws in the bottom of your pistol grip. Just unscrew them and pistol grip should come right off. Make sure you don't pinch the wires down at the bottom. And we're going to put that aside. Next, we're going to make sure all our body pins are out. And make sure, I already removed this one, but there's going to be a little one that looks just like this. It's going to be sitting right in there, and you're just going to use a push pin and push it out. And right now, we're going to pull the gearbox out. We're going to put the body aside. Okay. Now we're going to take my drill. You can use a hand screwdriver if you have. Just going to take all my screws out. Make sure you do not lose any of these screws. Be careful not to strip them. There's going to be 3 washers on the KWA. On right here, here, and here. Make sure when you reassemble it, you're going to put them back. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, and I'm going to change this to a Phillips number 2 for right here and right here. Okay, you're going to put the drill aside. Now for the tricky part. You're going to take a Torx number 10. You can use a little Phillips, flathead, whatever you have. Make sure in this little hole right here, you're going to compress the spring towards this way as pushing it up. What I like to do is I push in and grab a little Phillips, not a Phillips, a flathead, and just kind of pry it open and push at the same time. And you heard that little click. That's the anti-reversal latch resetting everything inside the gearbox. Now be careful when you open it up. Sometimes if you didn't push the spring all the way, it will shoot out. Let me just put this over here. Now to get the spring out, you're going to push really hard. This is a 140 spring, so it is more tension. Put that aside. Okay, here we have a ball bearing spring guide. The spring. A piston, a ported piston, aluminum piston head. Now to get the tappet plate off, there's a little spring right here. What you're going to do is you're going to push and relieve, and the spring should pop off. Here's the tappet plate. Double O-ring air seal nozzle. Sealed cylinder. And a double O-ring cylinder head. So we have the sector gear right here. And we have the bevel gear. The anti-reversal latch. The anti-reversal latch spring. The spur gear. And a couple of loose shims that didn't want to come off. I'll stick that back on so I remember where I put it. Alright, now for the wiring. I'm going to get a small Phillips. First take the spring off and the trigger. It's going to be a little tiny Phillips down at the bottom in the corner. I want to undo that. pull the spring out. Now that there's going to be another Phillips right here. I'm going to do that. Take that out. It's going to be a little spring under it, so you're going to undo that. Pop right off. Here's the spring I was just talking about. Just going to push out to the other side. Put that aside. Now there's going to be another little tiny spring right here. I'm going to grab, let's try a flathead. Be careful, you do not lose this. And the wiring should pop out right now. And that's how you take the wiring out. Put that aside. Now for the new wiring, it's a Classic Army, high silicone, low resistance wiring. Take that out. Okay. This is front wiring kit. Okay. Slide it under this right here. And push down. It should snap into place. Take your black negative wire, put it under in the groove right there. You're going to run the negative first to the motor, through the channel, and down. Same with the positive. Positive is always going to be towards the front on the pistol grip. Make sure you push it well. Okay. Now that I got everything in, I'm going to take this little spring, I'm going to push the trigger contact back, and try to push the spring, use a needle nose. And latch it onto the trigger contact. After that, I'm going to take my screw again. Screw it down in the same place I took it off before. Okay, now that I have that in, I can start reassembling it. First, I'm going to put the spur gear back. Make sure it's still smooth. After that, I'm going to put the trigger. Should pop in. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Gonna assemble the anti-reversal latch. Just gonna stick it in there for right now. Now that I got that in, put the screw in. Now I can put the sector gear in. Reassemble my cylinder. The air seal nozzle on. Then the tappet plate. And then a trick I like to do, take the spring for the tappet plate, put it on here, on the tappet plate, and meet it up with the hole that it went on there, onto the gearbox. Push it on, push the air seal nozzle back, and it should just slide right on. Test it, make sure it moves fluently. We're going to put the piston back in. And the spring guide. Save that for last. Make sure we put the anti-reversal latch back as you stick in the bevel gear. Now to reassemble it, I'm going to use the same screwdriver I used before. I'm going to push the cylinder down. Same time pushing the spring. Make sure the spring guide gets in the groove. Make sure all that's lined up. And I'm going to go from front to back, putting the gearbox back on. Push the spring in. Make sure all of it's lined up. The trigger sometimes likes to lock it up and not push it. By pushing it in, it should close. Now everything's lined up. I can start putting it back together with the screws. Put one there. One there. Now make sure you put the washers back that went off on the top three. Slide that on. Okay, now to screw it back. Change out my bit. Okay, now that we have that, we can stick it back in our body. Make sure you slide the pistol trigger in, then the pistol grip part. Take our back body pin and stick it in. Side. There's the other part of the wiring. Throw this in the trash. Alright. Now we can slide our connectors back into the pistol grip. Slide it on. Take my Phillips. Now that we have that on, we're ready to slide the upper on. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more of tech videos, gameplay, and other footage.